You are listening to Exopolitics Today, and this is the Q&A special. Dr. Salla is joined today by Elena Danaan and JP.
So we have lots of questions, and our very first one, voted by everybody, comes from Miyoko. Miyoko writes, I understand that everything will change in 2025. I would like to know about the financial reset, if you know anything about it, as everyone is struggling with inflation. The price of Bitcoin is incredibly high, and hardworking old people are still not used to cryptocurrencies. And I thought we are going to use quantum financial systems. Thank you very much.
The few I know, Miyoko, is that there is not going to be a crisis, a chaos, or something terribly happening with the financial system. It will be a transition. So everything of the new system is already ready in place, and it will be based on core values of gold and another silvery looking metal. And the system will be quantum. The system is being implemented at the moment, the technology, but we need really to wait that the deep state is not in power, and it will be a transition. No drama. That's what the few I know, but probably JP knows more.
Well, when I went to this mission where we found a lot of gold, it's not only in this government that we found gold. China as well found a lot of gold. There's gold around the Amazon, and not too long ago, China bought something around the Amazon. They're just finding a lot of amount of gold deposit all over the world. So I think financially we're going to be okay. Depending how the technology and AI operates and how our relationship with extraterrestrials become, that's how our financial status will be. We're connected.
Excellent. So our next question comes from Wendy. Hi, Michael, Elena, and JP. How is the Trump administration going to affect the other countries around the world? Here in the Netherlands, we still have a deep state government, as well as in other European countries. How do we get rid of them since there are no elections anytime soon?
Oh, I know that these new elections in the United States are setting up now a structure that is going to slowly, by diplomatic moves and governmental operation, take down in certain countries the deep state operators in the governments. It's going to be like they're not going to threaten them, but oblige them to get rid of certain dark operatives in their governments, and by treaties and diplomatic operations. And that is going to be a wave that is going to unfold all over Europe until Asia, that will do a big cleaning. That's, I don't know if I'm explaining it well. How would you say, JP?
I think the extraterrestrials are going to have a big role on that as well. Everybody's seeing these orbits all over the place. So I think they're going to show themselves as well and express that, hey, we're all in this together. We're all in this world. We're all in this universe together. So I think that's going to play a big part of the negative people just renouncing. Look what's happening with Canada and Turkey and other Syria, other countries. They're just leaving their countries and letting the people take over. It's just going to happen like that. People that are not good in their heart, they're just gonna, I don't want to carry this no more, because they know what they carry is wrong.
Well, I think the election of Donald Trump, just to kind of like continue that line of thought that Elena opened up, is going to inspire those forces that believe in the kind of uniqueness of their country, that implicitly they believe in, making France great again, or making Ireland great again, or making Australia great again. That Trump's MAGA movement will inspire similar movements in other countries that up until recently were all kind of being very much pushed in this direction of globalism, where unique national identities didn't matter, history, culture didn't matter, that it was all about this kind of global soup that they wanted to create with deep state actors pulling the strings from behind the scenes. But with the election of Trump, I fully agree with Elena that there's going to be a spillover effect, that this is going to strengthen those kind of like forces in different countries that want to focus on the uniqueness and take pride in their national culture again, as opposed to like just ignoring it and giving precedence to this kind of empty globalism, which doesn't stand for anything other than a kind of velvet glove for the deep state to manipulate humanity for another century or so.
And Michael, if I may add, this global corporate deep state is collapsing, and new technologies are arriving, especially free energy technologies, and all their corporations are crumbling down. And that was what was holding all these many countries by the, and they had no choice, economically. But now they are going to have the choice. Well, the future, there's only one way now: cooperate with the new future that is being put in place with the new technologies, and the fuel industry is collapsing, and etc. So it's going to be also that kind of process that's going to help, I think.
Very good. Our next question comes from Streganona. Dear Dr. Salla, Elena, and JP, what is the current state of the corrupt organizations such as the WHO, the UN, the WEF? Are they losing their control over the world? Is there any insight you can provide? Immense gratitude to you all.
Well, I think that the election of Donald Trump and his kind of like dismissal of many of these globalist organizations is again going to set the trend for for different populations in different nations around the world to kind of like rely more on their own national institutions and their own kind of cultures and communities for answers to whatever problems come up, rather than handing power over to these globalist organizations that were really just going to kind of like dilute and manipulate national consciousness in different nations. And these globalist organizations have been an instrument of slowly handing power over from national institutions to globalist institutions. So I think, again, under Trump, this will be reversed.
Our next question then comes from Greg. And Greg greets you all. You are all amazing, true inspirations for everybody. Today, I would like to ask Elena a question about MedBeds, and JP could add his 2 cents as well. Elena said in her last webinar that repeated age regression leads to DNA degeneration after a period of time. When that happens, why can't we just repair and restore the damaged DNA using sound frequencies or a technology similar to how a MedBed can restore our original Adamic DNA?
When you tamper with DNA too much, it works for a certain amount of time, but after a certain amount of time, you start to infringe upon the cosmic laws of evolution, the universal cosmic laws. Call them divine laws, call them source creator laws. It's a process that is you can't take a mortal body and make it immortal. You can't do that. The Anakim or Anunnaki have cracked the process, but not by age regression. They transmute their cell. It's a different process that is more alchemical. So when you have age regress too much, your DNA starts to not respond anymore to age regression. It starts to go a bit weird or off, and it doesn't work anymore. So there's one moment where you have to stop. Thorhan, for instance, his culture and race, they improve and repair their genetics a lot, but there comes always a moment when they know it is wise to stop, because also they're wise and, consciousness wise, and they know how to stop and give back to nature the natural process of aging, but they're not obsessed by being young. They like to live young and healthy and strong. Yes, okay. But they have this other perspective that they know that these are only temporary avatars. They are not these bodies. So they let it go and they come back in another incarnation, So, yeah, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work after a certain time. JP?
So I'll give my 2 cents of that. this picture DNA like a particle of light. If you put a particle of light into the ocean, right, and the deeper it is, the less light can get there. So DNA is like that. If you temper with DNA, it's like going through a light particle going through a large amount of like water. Okay, just picture that. And the more deeper this light particle goes, the less light the bottom part of the ocean will get. So if you keep tempering with DNA, the electrical particles of beautiful energy and light diminishes, and it keeps diminishing until it is no more and it goes somewhere else. Quantum entanglement, it'll probably go to another part of a universe that we don't know where it will go, or another dimensional time. So the energy of the DNA will diminish if you keep at it. It's just the energy, the science of energy. It diminishes if you keep playing around with it. Did you guys understand that? Or?
Yeah.
Hope so.
Yeah, perfect.
The analogy of the light particles going into the ocean and disappearing.
Yeah, that's the perfect analogy, and it's what it is. Yeah.
Our next question comes from Mark Davis. Aloha all. What are your opinions on President Trump's reported interest in acquiring the Panama Canal Zone and Greenland? Is there some hidden agenda or top secret reason for him wanting to do it?
So if we look throughout history, I'm going to answer that real quick, and then Elena can give her 2 cents. We build the Panama Canal. The United States, we built it, and a lot of people died building that. We yellow fever and all that, through history and all that. And I heard rumors that they're trying to sell that to China, and I think that got to the ear. Oh, I don't know if I was supposed to say that. Oops. There's things going around that China's probably want to buy the Panama Canal, and the president of Panama was like listening to that, and I think that got to the ears of the next administration, and I don't think that would happen. I don't think, because remember, we gave it back to them. There was no like we just gave it back to Panama. So if we really wanted, we could take it back. The Panama Canal, and the Panama Canal plays a big key with bringing goods to the United States and other countries like the east part of Brazil and because as we know, the Chinese are really involved with Brazil, with other countries that are part of South America, and it's just a political. I don't think he would do it, but it's just a political thing he put out there just to make sure that they don't play games with the United States, and there's other things involved as well. The security of the United States and other nations, also with the Panama Canal.
As far as Greenland is concerned, I mean, Greenland is a place it's very large. It's the largest island on the planet, and it has an extensive tunnel system underneath it, and also very large caverns. And the Nazis during the Second World War were able to explore and use some of these cavern systems for their operations. And after the war, the Dark Fleet was able to build things down there. So I think the role or the goal of the Trump administration is to kind of have more access to what lies underneath Greenland. That in the past, the United States was able to establish a base on Greenland with the permission of Denmark. But I think the Trump administration wants to have access to more of what's underneath Greenland. And so I think this is kind of like Trump's style in terms of like, well, we want to buy Greenland off you. And it's just the opening kind of like position in a negotiation where what really Trump wants and the US military wants is to get greater access to what's underneath Antarctica, because there's extensive tunnels, caverns there with all sorts of ancient technologies and of course operations that the Dark Fleet had down there. So I think that's really what the Trump administration is really going for.
Yeah, as we know, Denmark also controls the skies of Greenland, and also Russia owns a part of North Pole as well, and Greenland also owns a little bit of the North Pole. So I guess the United States also want access of what lies beneath in the North Pole. You're right, Doc. Sorry, Elena.
Oh, I would just want to remind the audience that Alex Collier a few years ago already spoke about an arc under Greenland, and it was a huge one. So I want to remind this.
Yep, I heard about that too. I heard that there was a major type of arc/ship that was a key for the other arcs that also inside this arc has like a bank of DNA and banks of seeds that it's like it's protected. But yeah, I did hear about that too, but I never visited that arc. But I'm sure, yeah, that's what lies beneath. It's a big ship, big arc.
Very good. Our next question comes from Jan. And dear Elena, could you share your intel on the collapse of the deep state in France, a country in a critical state and on the brink of bankruptcy? For context, in your last webinar, you mentioned rapid changes coming to the French government, yet it has already changed twice recently. President Macron remains the real problem. He is in office until 2027, nearly impossible to impeach and too disdainful to resign.
Thank you, Angelica. Well, it will take time. It won't be done like this, It will take time to replace the agents of the deep state in power in certain countries. So I suppose Macron is until the end of his mandate. And 2027, that's very interesting because it is a date where I was told there would be something huge like first contact happening, But we can't always say it will happen that date because time is moving. It's never set. The events are set. It's going to happen. That's sure. But when it's moving because people are changing their mind, doing different things, we're going there. But so 27 should be a very important year. So, while Macron goes at that moment, that's very good.
All right. Our next question comes from Rebecca. It's a question for Elena. What are your thoughts? Can you please ask Thorhan Iridian if he would be willing to provide transport and host a GSIC-type civilian conference on board the Excelsior with guest speakers and Q&A panels from the Galactic Federation of Worlds if we organize it in 2025? Thank you for all you do.
Danny must be jumping on her seat at that moment. Well, Rebecca, I will surely ask. And mind you, Danny already asked. So I will ask again. But that will, these type of things will eventually happen, So, and medical technologies are arriving. So you will see this day, Rebecca, I'm sure.
And let me add, I think such an event will happen after I do my sit-down interview with Thorhan, where we talk about galactic events. So I think after that, we might be able to organize what Rebecca said.
Of course.
Yeah,
Of course.
and let's not forget what happened in Colorado. 1,000 people saw what they saw. And after that, we started hearing the news about the orbs and all that. So that's really interesting what happened in GSIC in Colorado. If people want more information on that, just look at the GSIC that we did in Colorado, and they're going to be amazed of that information that was probably blocked by a lot of people, Elena. I can't believe how many people was trying to block that information and block those ships that 1,000 people saw.
Yes. It's been so much attacked because it has really shook the public, and some organizations have been really trying to destroy this event and trying to debunk it, and they failed. After this event, all the orbs started to appear, and that, this event was the precursor event to what is going on now, and it was a gift from Thorhan Iridian.
It was the Akuria Mate. It was amazing.
And for those that don't know what GSIC means, it stands for Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection, and they have a website. Danny Henderson has set it up. It's galacticspiritualinformers.com, as I believe. And in 2025, there'll be two events. One event from May 10 to 11, which is going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina. And the second event is going to be, I believe it's September 19. Actually, I think I have it the other way around.
Yes.
May 10, 11 is going to be in Eastbourne, England. And then September 19 to 21, I think it's going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Amazing.
Very good. Our next question comes from Abby. Hello to all. Are all combat veterans going to have priority MedBed access? My husband is 81 years old and 100% disabled Vietnam veteran.
It's going to be a time that's going to come out for veterans, but right now, like I said before, it's they're going to come out with types of vaccines and things that will keep diseases in the range lower prior of these med beds coming out. I know a lot of people are waiting for these med beds, but we just have to have patience and let the light work, and to bring these technologies and future technologies out. It's going to be exciting for a lot of us.
Thank you for that, JP. Our next question comes from Brian. This is for Dr. Salla. If you were applying to a specific department or agency, what role and where do you think is the most effective place within the incoming Trump administration to drive disclosure?
I think it would be some kind of advisory role where I would be helping the principal decision makers, whether it's someone like President Trump or Vice President Vance, in terms of understanding the conflicting data that they're going to be given by the intelligence community. Because I think one thing we can take for granted is that during this incoming administration, they're going to have the intelligence community continue to lie through their teeth about what the galactics are doing, what kind of technologies exist, what could be made available. And if I think I can make a contribution, it would be to give people like Trump and Vance a better perspective on what's really out there, what the galactics have to offer, what kind of technologies really exist, what could be made available to the American population safely without harming national security. Because one thing that is clear is that the military intelligence community and the corporations, what they're going to do is they're going to come up with some kind of parsimonious, limited hangout that just kind of like gives Trump and Vance a limited amount of information in terms of helping them understand what's going on. But I think if they have a fuller range of information, then they can make better decisions.
Very good. Thank you. Next, we have Santiago, who says, "Hi, Elena, Dr. Salla, and JP. Thank you for this wonderful webinar. How do you think Robert Kennedy Jr. will carry out his objective of providing healthy food for the U.S.? Will it be nourished by ancestral ingredients and recipes that are currently suppressed by the deep state?"
I could say something. It takes like $15 billion to beat hunger in the United States, and also like $17 billion to beat what is homelessness in the United States, and we gave $60 billion to Ukraine. So I think there's different ways that he's going to help out in order to because there's different factors. I believe that other countries has to be involved, and I believe that the South part, because if he does that in the United States, right, it's going to be like a domino effect to other nations by the way or how he does it. How he brings the effect of healthy food, because we get our food from different places, and it's going to be a little bit hard, but it is not impossible. I believe that maybe in the first like 6 or 5 months, it's going to be a battle on that in different industries that are involved with the food and medical stuff. So it's going to be a battle, but it's going to happen regardless. If it's not him, it's going to be somebody else, and humanity is going to benefit from this start of the Trump administration is letting happen.
I think Robert Kennedy Jr. is going to make a really important impact in terms of the quality of food and kind of remedies that are made available for the American public to kind of like make America healthy again. I mean, that's the slogan, but I think he's going to really do that. And he has the kind of background knowledge to kind of like understand, what is harmful, what kind of pharmaceutical products really or vaccines do and don't help. And I think Kennedy will also be very interested in the suppressed technologies that deal with restoring health. I mean, earlier on, I talked about some of those categories that are flagged under the sensitive application warning system in the US Patent and Trademark Office. Patents that deal with things like kind of like herbal remedies, food, indigenous property, indigenous foods and also age rejuvenation and age reversal, those sorts of things that I think Kennedy will be very interested in, those kinds of technologies, and will, I think, enable those to kind of like be fast-tracked through the patent system and released to the general public, so that way the incredible kind of like health industry, the vast health industry in the United States could be retooled, because there's millions of doctors, nurses, research scientists out there, not just in the United States but around the world, that want to do good, but they've been kind of like railroaded into being kind of like pimps for the pharmaceutical industry. And I think Robert Kennedy understands that, and what he's going to do is implement a system, a revolution, so that medical doctors, researchers are able to appreciate a greater range of products, natural remedies and so forth, that can help people gain health again.
All right, very good. Our next question comes from Rebecca. Hello, all. Do you think President Trump will make a successful move during his presidency to gain full access of Area 51 and publicly disclose and/or share what is there, including technology? Thank you all.
I believe that he already knows the information that Area 51 has, and I think he's going to leave it as it is, and I guess let the ETs do the rest. That's what I believe.
Oh, I concur with JP, because, of course, he will allow this knowledge to go forward, but it's not him who will deal with it, because there's a lot of ET-related things there. So he will just open the door, and I am sure as well it's the ETs, the Galactic Federation, who will take care of this, because there's a lot.
I just wanted to add to this, there's a kind of historical precedent for this. President Eisenhower, he was the one that first learned of the advanced extraterrestrial facilities that had been built at Area 51 called S4, and he was cut out of the loop. And so he had to actually threaten to send in the US First Army from Colorado to invade and take over Area 51. And so, that's kind of set off a process whereby American presidents don't know what's going on at Area 51 and the S4 facility. And I think this is going to be a very important kind of issue for the future, that American presidents are going to need to know much more about what's really going on in these covert facilities. Maybe not know everything, but know much more than what they're given, because as I said earlier, American presidents are regularly lied to by the military-industrial corporate complex, and this is where they need to be given good advice so that they can make solid decisions about where we are going to go in the future. Because people just need to be reminded that a lot of these underground facilities, these deep underground military bases, even up to today, some of them are still used for conducting genetic experiments and abusing captured civilians. So this is where an American president needs to know what's going on, as opposed to just letting the corporate managers of these classified programs kind of like do whatever they want.
And just to put it out there, every military base is in Area 51. We got a lot of different things in every types of bases. So just picture that. Every military base is a Area 51. Everyone has a little thing that involves with technology and ETs.
Very good. Our next question comes from Mel. I would like to address my question to Elena and JP. As we're moving to higher density, will our perception of space change collectively or individually depending upon one's consciousness? For instance, many contactees have often claim that they didn't expect the interior of the spaceship. It is much, much bigger than what it looks like from the exterior. My gratitude.
Well, I know there are certain technologies, certain cultures use compression of time space to make their ships smaller than they are. That's a technology. But to touch on the consciousness and the densities, yes, our perception of space and time differs. Yes, that's a fact.
Yeah, in some of the ships that I entered, outside it looks like it looks like a school bus size, but when you enter, it's like, whoa, it's huge, you know. So they do have the technology of Honey, we Shrunk the Kids, you know, type of technology. But I think it has to do with also the how you perceive light and how you hear and how you perceive what is everything around you with your brain. So yeah, it's a mind is a mind thing as well. You know, there's illusions out there that can mess up with your eyes or your ears, you know, depending on how you see them. So imagine what these ETs have, the technology that they have of, you know, perceiving something that is inside the ships.
Our next question comes from Mystifying Mark, and he writes, Dear Elena, has any citizen in the U.S. in the last year gone off planet for medical treatment in a medbed for restorative organ or body part replacement by age regression to a previous time before when they were perfectly well? So is age regression being used in this way?
Well, I believe it is possible. I do not know anything about people in the US doing this, but I would say this is possible, probable, because these people would be not the common of people. They would have their star family on board their ships, you know, and it would be a personal help from their team, you know. I think that could happen. That JP, 2 cents.
uh, I believe it's happening as we speak. You know, because we do have armadas of ships out there, still working, and we have ships around the vicinity of Jupiter, Saturn, Mars. So you know, I believe, you know, people do get hurt. You know, it's a job like any other job. You know, and people do get hurt, and they use these technologies to save their life and also to make sure that they're taken care of with this technology.
And I just want to mention also that, you know, we still have quite a few people involved in the secret space programs who have talked about having gone through these age regression technologies, you know, going all the way back to the 1970s. I mean, one of the earliest secret space program witnesses was Michael Ralph, and he says he began his 20 and back program in 1976, and in 1996 he was exposed to this age regression technology that kind of reversed his age, and then he went back in 76. So if they were doing that, you know, if they were doing that nearly 30 years ago, I'm pretty sure they're still doing that now with people that have gone through 20 and backs, because, you know, right now we're in 2024. So presumably this 20 and back program continues to exist. And so people that are serving, and so they are serving in, say, by 2044, they're being age regressed back to now and released. So just think about that.
Yeah. All the military and space program expect as well, yes.
Very good. Thank you. Our next question comes from English Roses. Hello, Dr. Salla, Elena, and JP. Thank you for this upcoming webinar. I am in the UK, and the country is in a critical situation with its current government. They seem to be trashing it running the country and its culture into the ground. No one is listening to the people. Do you see any signs that the UK's deep state are going to disappear anytime soon so we can try to rebuild our country? I try to stay positive and calm to rise above this erosion, but I would like to see signs things will change. Thank you.
I believe what we're seeing in the skies right now, the orbs and the ETs are going to make certain things happen with different types of governments and realize that they're not going to win no more. And it's going to fix up a lot of governments that are negative right now. I think everybody's going to start working together, you know, and realizing, hey, we have these beings visiting us and they want the best of us and they want the good of us and they want good people in charge. They don't want negative people in charge with a negative heart and a negative frequency. So they're going to realize, the people are going to realize that whoever's in charge has a negative or positive frequency, depending on how the ETs interacts. Because, you know, the ETs are going to bring the truth. They're going to bring the truth of who people really are, I believe.
In my presentation, I talked about the Anglo-Saxon mission and how that was hatched in the city of London in 2005, and how England or Britain, the British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, played a role in scuttling any kind of agreement between Ukraine and Russia to resolve that conflict. And also we have these kind of stories about King Charles being a vessel for some very dark energies. And I've interviewed a couple of people who have talked about that. Tim Cohen and George Cavassalis have talked about that. So I think England or Britain right now is controlled by very dark forces. And as the question suggested, the people are being ignored. But I think there is hope. I think Nigel Farage, he has set up an alternative party, the Reform Party, I believe that's the name, and he is going to be helped by the White Hats. I mean, I think already Elon Musk has said that he's going to be helping Farage kind of like build momentum. I think Farage has already talked with Trump. So I think in the long term, the Brits are going to come out of this, but it's going to take a lot of work, because truly we're talking about the belly of the beast here when it comes to this kind of globalist satanic force and the role of Britain in being a bastion for that.
Thank you for that. Our next question comes from Autism Librarian. What are your thoughts on prioritizing children and adults with severe autism for MedBeds, considering the significant lifelong healthcare costs and societal burden, which some predict could reach $589 billion annually in the US by 2030? Thank you.
Well, the children are those who come first after the veterans, together with the severe diseases, in the treatment of the MedBeds. So when I say the children, it's the most important disease or genetic problems or else in children. And I think I believe that certain type of really hard autism would be on the list of priority. That would make sense to me.
And I do know that Robert Kennedy Jr., I mean, he's identified the incredible acceleration in the number of children that are afflicted with autism after they began taking this incredible cocktail of vaccines that were mandated by US regulatory agencies. And so I think Kennedy is going to take steps to reverse that. So that might not help people who are suffering from autism now. Maybe it's going to be the MedBeds for them, but it'll help the next generation of children so that they are not going to be afflicted with these incredibly high rates of autism.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Our next question comes from Conan the Dentist. Hello, Star Family. For Elena and JP, once we use a MedBed and have the Adamic DNA restored, will we be better able to remember who we are and find and visit our inner Earth neighbors?
There's a lot. First, the Adamic DNA restoration is not something that will be automatic in all the MedBeds. That's an option that you can choose. And effectively, when your DNA is reactivated, that means all the hydrogen bonds relinked. Of course, it will help your consciousness to fully be operational in your body. And of course, remember who you are more easily. I mean, the body won't be an obstacle on the way. Regarding to inner Earth, I'm going to let JP talk about it.
I believe that once we are restored, like everything is a frequency. Remember, I told you about the light particle. Depending on how many times your DNA has been played with, you know. But I think the communication with the inner Earth people will be with your inner self and how you treat your temple. What is your body? You know, your healthliness. Because I think anybody can have the communication with the inner Earth, but you need to have a mindset, or your pineal gland needs to be in a cleansed state. So these technologies are gonna help regulate what is the toxic how you say it? Toxicity of your body. Yeah, there we go. And it's gonna help you understand what is the reality and how to communicate with these beings that live in the inner Earth. So the technology will help, yeah, but I think it also has to do with your spiritual type of spirituality that you carry, because right now I think a lot of people should understand that the spiritual realm is really real, and it's things that we don't see. So we just have to be vigilant on that as well. And I think the CIA and other agencies have already wrote that before about, you know, remote viewing and other things, and the capability of the mind and the capability of the human body and what we are capable to do as humans, you know. And that, you know, I think it has to do with how you carry yourself in order to have this communication with other beings and inner Earth in a spiritual way.
Thank you for that. Our next question comes from Christian St. Clair. My question is for Dr. Salla. Firstly, thank you, sir, for all you are doing to bring about global disclosure and all your efforts over the many years. Lately, here in Australia, I have been feeling pulses coming from underground up through my feet and into my chest and heart. And I feel very, very connected to this pulse, like a mother and father's love for their child feeling inside, a calling. Are you able to confirm for me and the audience, Dr. Salla, if you have heard any info about intelligence sources, or even our brother JP, if there is an ark here in Australia or just off the East Coast? My sincerest gratitude and love to you, sir.
Well, my guess would be that because Australia is a very ancient land, that there are many, many things that are underground or in the adjoining waters around Australia that are very ancient. Now, you know, those feelings that you're getting now, presumably that could be because, and I think this is what you're suggesting, that there might be an arc, an ancient arc activating somewhere, and that you are personally connected to that and you're feeling that connection. And I think that's something to pursue, that as you feel more of that connection, you'll be guided to that arc, because this is one of the things JP has talked about before, that the orbs that are being sent from the arcs are not only doing this kind of surveillance to monitor humanity's consciousness, they're also searching for the crews of this space arcs. So as the space arcs get closer and closer to fully activating, then the crews of the space arcs will be sought out and found, and as that process unfolds, the crew members will obviously feel more and more. So the fact that you're in Australia and that there probably is an ancient space arc somewhere in that vast Australian continent, I don't think it would be accidental that you're having those feelings.
I believe there's multiple different ships and different arcs are activating around the world, and I think people are feeling that. Doc, I think there's going to be a lot of people feeling that energy and the frequency when they see these orbs also above. Remember, these orbs are connecting quantumly with these arcs, so they're communicating, and we're in between that. So by us being in between that, we feel the frequency of the orbs and the arcs communicating. So I believe a lot more people are going to feel the Pacific arcs, and I believe that also Australia has an arc, but don't know the location yet. But yeah, it's I think it's a mixture of everything happening at once. So a lot of people are feeling the frequency of these entities, these ships, these living things.
Thank you. Very good. Our next question comes from Alfredo. Hello, Dr. Salla, Elena, and JP, and thank you very much for this webinar and for your immeasurable dedication. My question is for Elena and is about technology. I was wondering if you could update us with a full list of all the negative technologies still in the hands of the deep state.
Okay, I wouldn't know all the technologies in the hand of the deep state, but of what I know, they still have access to nuclear weapons, direct energy weapons shot by from facilities on Earth, on the ground, and from cloaked satellites, weapons. I mean bacteriological weapons. That's what comes to my mind now. That would be the main frequency weapons. Oh, yeah, I've been shot. I know. Sorry. By a frequency technology that targeted specific organs in my body. Yes, that they still have that. Yes. That's what I could say. But, they're gonna get their hands off it very soon, progressively during the years to come. So yeah, I'm sure JP, you think about other technologies that they could still have, right?
Yeah, they have access of different types of technology that it's negative, but it's like they have to have like a certain type of codes or something like that. When I say codes, I mean like types of frequency that can activate these certain technologies. Every technology works on a like a different type of, like maybe some certain beings can only operate a certain technology, or a certain government can operate a certain technology. But yeah, that's like what I was saying before. We do have the technology of MedBeds, but depending on the hands who it falls, it can vary. So we have to be vigilant on these technologies that people have access to, and AI is going to be one of them that we're keeping an eye on really, really, really good. Yeah.
I think another couple of technologies that the deep state uses to manipulate global elites or politicians is cloning and also soul transfer or consciousness transfer technologies, where they can threaten leading politicians or industrialists or public officials to do things, otherwise they'll be replaced by a clone or have their consciousness transferred to something else. So I know these are technologies the deep state had. Now, whether they continue to have those in the face of the changes that we've been describing, I'm not sure, but definitely they did have those technologies, and presumably some still do.
The weather as well, yeah, modifying the weather.
Modifying the weather, and just modifying what is, everything that is microscopic, your atoms and all that. So yeah, it's insane. The technology is out there, but I think a lot of people is going to benefit because there's a lot of good people now in charge. So let's see what happens. It's going to be amazing experience for everybody.
Thank you. And our next question comes from Sylvia. Hi, dear Michael, Elena, and JP. Thank you for all your work you do for humanity. I have heard a statement from Elon Musk today about a barrier above the earth, the firmament, which is very hard to pass, and outside there is space filled with water. Is there something like a dome, a biosphere in which we live? I am confused, and it would be great if you can clarify what it is he wants to tell us. Thank you so much.
I think that was probably AI or something that a video that somebody made, but the Earth is round. The Earth is round, and space is empty. Yeah. We have people in the ISS right now, so it's we have people in the moon, we have people in Mars, we have people in the vicinity of Jupiter, we have people in the vicinity of Saturn. There's people working up there, and there's no water up there, but there is water in certain types of our moon, in certain parts of water moons that we have around Saturn and Jupiter, but there's not something like a firmament. I know a lot of people and a lot of religious people, they read the Bible or other types of different types of historical, and they talk about, there's a firmament and we live in a flat Earth and there's nothing like that. But no, I assure you, if you get into the science and the physics of how the Earth connects with the sun and how the moon goes around the Earth and the Milky Way and how this galaxy is not part of this particular galaxy, and yeah, it's just knowledge is power. So just get into the books and the physics of how Earth and how weather operates around the world.
Very good. Thank you. Our next question comes from Gabriella. And Gabriella writes, Dear Dr. Salla, Elena, and JP, much thanks for all your great work and commitment to Earth and human evolution. My question is to Elena and Thorhan or Jenhan. How will the activation of Earth human DNA exactly take place? We have now 2 helixes of DNA united by molecular bridges. Will extra energetic helixes be added or upgraded from a higher dimension, or will the already existing gene be activated to function in a different way, or something within the DNA will be restored?
Okay, the DNA is a helix of 2 strands. Okay, that is the core structure of a DNA. It cannot be another shape. Why? Because this is an antenna. This is, like the Tesla technology. You need 2 wires coiled to become a power plant and emit waves. So there is no way this is going to take another shape. Although the two strands of helices can be enforced by other strands wrapped into them, but it will always have this two, it's the two serpents of the caduceus, higher dimensions. Consciousness influences the DNA in a way that it activates it. It makes it vibrating in higher frequency, in faster frequency. So you can have access to physically two different planes of existence. Physically. It's interconnected. Regarding consciousness can activate DNA if you yourself raise your frequency, your consciousness frequency, your mind, your thinking. You can reactivate this DNA and even make it more vibrant, because thoughts are electrical waves that can really influence everything. And when it influences first your body, the DNA in the core of your cells, of course, you are going to develop the potentiality of all what this body can do. People like Yeshua, for instance, had a nearly full activated body, was showing you what humans really can do, So that's the interconnection, I would say, with consciousness activating DNA.
Okay, so maybe we should start wrapping it up, just in case the webinar does come to a sudden close because of this limitation. So I want to begin by just thanking Elena and JP for being on this panel, for sharing your incredible experiences, your wisdom and insights. They've been invaluable. I'm sure everyone in the audience truly appreciates it. I do too, and it's an honor knowing you both.
And it's an honor, Dr. Salla, to know you because we both know that you are to play a big role in the new golden age of humanity regarding the exopolitics and the diplomacy of Earth. So it is only the beginning, and we are heading towards something magnificent.
Love, care, healing to everybody. And it was a pleasure to be here, Doc, Elena, be here with you both. And Akuria Mate.
Thank you, JP. Thank you, Elena. And I want to thank my team. I couldn't do this without my team. Jazz Marlin has been helping us with the technical aspects of this webinar. My wonderful wife, Angelica, for doing the Q&A. And I want to thank you, the audience.
You have been listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Join or start a conversation in the comments. Take the time to explore the vast library of best-selling books, webinars, and podcasts by Dr. Salla. Visit exopoliticstoday.com.